protest group Republic, which the clue is in the name, opposed the monarchy. Their organizer and a few others, they were nicked preemptively. In fact, he was arrested at his house. Just Stop Oil, there were some people who were just wearing Just Stop Oil t-shirts. They didn't actually have any of the gear for like locking on or anything like that. They also got arrested. And then this bizarre instance of the sort of nighttime wardens in Soho getting arrested the night before and held in custody, I think, for about 16 hours because they were in possession of rape alarms, which obviously if you're a night warden is a sort of fundamental thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's understandable why the Met Police might be so against rape alarms, particularly police officers from the Charing Cross police station.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, look, like, what's quite interesting about this, and I think what's been quite funny watching it play out over the weekend, is lots of people who've been like, protest is now dead. Protest is over. The right to protest is over. And it's been a little bit like, welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Lovely to have you with us. I mean, I don't think the right to protest is dead. I think it's a really deeply like unhelpful framing of it. Like, the reality is that the police, I saw one tweet that was like, the police, this isn't British policing. This isn't Britain. And I'm like, sir. Sir.
It really is.
Literally. And it's like, the police are cutting about on the streets of London as they have been doing for the last 40 years. If you go back to like the 80s and the police tactics that we see now, they were created in conjunction between Willie Whitelaw, who was Thatcher's Home Secretary, and the Police Federation at the time. And they created a lot of the tactics that we see, and they used them and tested them out on picket lines. And so the kind of like the aggressive, like preemptive strikes that we see, and we've seen it through like decades, generations of activists. So did it come as like a huge shock? No. Should people who were organizing have known better? Yes. Like, is that in any way to blame them for what happened? No. But like this idea that we're all fine if we chat to the police and it's all going to be okay. It's like, no, that's just not how these things work.
I think there's a real point of difference here as well between, let's say something like, I don't know, Ben, breaking onto the runway at Stansted Airport and chaining yourself to an airplane to stop a deportation flight taking place, which,
What specific example?
I don't know, but whoever did that was clearly a handsome legend.
Yeah, a handsome legend called Ben Smoke. But that's one thing, and on the other side of it, there's walking towards the coronation and being preempted. Like there's a pretty big difference there between you being arrested before you've actually done it, not even direct action. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they had a protest area, right, siphoned off for them at the coronation. So presumably he was just going to head there and hold a placard.
And shout "Not my king" at the car. It was like the least of with all the protests that have been in the limelight in the past couple of years. That's like the most milquetoast, basic, boring protest. Like the people, like the Just of All people would be like, "Is that it? Like, come on, guys.
You guys fucking suck.
You're not gluing yourselves to anything."
But even Just Stop Oil were literally just planning to go and hold up placards, because like the reality of it is that people in activist groups, people organising, understand the way that the Met were going to react and understood the way that they would utilise this kind of like outpouring of like flag shagging sycophancy to like play out their wildest dreams of repression. And so they knew that, which is why they weren't planning to do anything, as far as I know, like absolutely fucking batshit, as much as that would be fun and it would have been camp. And even doing that
camp anyway.
like even doing that, it was like too much for the Met. And I think what's quite interesting is a lot of the framing around it has been like, well, the Met decided that this is where the line is. The Met decided that the risks that way, and it's just like, hold on a second. Whoa. Why are these people who have been like over and over again proven to not be fit to hold the power that they have, and continually adding more power to it? Why is it that these people are getting to decide what is a fundamental human right, a human right that is entrenched within domestic and international law under the European Convention of Human Rights and the Human Rights Act? Why are they getting to decide? I mean, like, even look back, like, it's literally been a month and like 5 days or whatever it is since the case review. Look at Mark Rowley, Commissioner of the Met's response to it. He was talking about how integrity is central to policing and we've clearly failed. We clearly, to paraphrase, fucking nut jobs who have no business being anywhere near a baton.
That's almost a direct quote as well. It's not actually a paraphrasing, really. It's so true, isn't it, Ed? This, you look at the report into Stephen Lawrence's murder, right? It finds that the Met is institutionally racist. The report into the Daniel Morgan murder finds that the Met is institutionally corrupt. Fast forward a few decades further on, the Casey report finds, yes, that all of those things are true, and still nothing has been done about it. And people, I think, also shouldn't have any illusions about whose interests the Met Police serves, right? If you want to take like an abstract argument about policing in this country, right? The common law descends from its property law, right? So the people that exist to enforce the law are going to uphold people who have property. They're going to maintain the rights of people who have property. Also, the police, they swear an oath of allegiance to the crown.
Yep.
It's like the arm.
Have crowns on their fucking hats.
It really should be obvious by now. They're not going to take you fucking around at the coronation very well.
What I think's interesting is the whole thing seems to have been framed as we didn't want them to spoil it. Because when I was at the Mile, spent 2.5 days there last week.
Godspeed, mate.
Actually sick.
How are you feeling?
Loved it.
How's that pint of men's mental health going down for you?
But I asked the people camping on the Mile, like, how do you feel about the protest? And to be fair to a few of them did say, it's their right, we live in a free country. I disagree with them, but they can do what they want. Other people were like, they can't do it on Saturday. Why Saturday? It being the coronation, that's maybe the most, if you're an anti-monarchist organisation, that's maybe the one day in the past 70 years that you are going to try and mount an anti-monarchist protest. But it's the whole thing, I think, was about perception and how it seemed to the outside world. If you watch the BBC's coverage, on Saturday, I think you would be under the impression that the entire country was out celebrating, out waving flags. There was no mention of the protest, as far as I'm aware. There was no mention of any anti-monarchist sentiment, which I kind of think, I was thinking about, like, is there an example? And it's as if you watched the inauguration of Donald Trump and no one mentioned that there was a large opposition to it. The whole thing was incredibly dishonest. Like, I was walking through central London on Saturday in London Bridge, and I saw 2 Union flags hanging on balconies, and that was it. You wouldn't have known there was a coronation. Like, I watched the coronation on my laptop in my kitchen. Like, because I feel professionally obliged to. It's not like
I want to make it clear to listeners that Ed was not professionally obliged to listen to that.
I want to make it clear to my editor that I did, and I was very diligent.
Very diligent.
Sorry, I watched it with Ben. Ben was also there.
Yeah, I actually think the media is a little bit behind the monarchy on this in the sort of deferential way that we talk about this. Even in the context of the protests, right? But we don't have to talk about it like that. We can just talk about the BBC's rolling coverage of the actual event. But the Mail wrote up the sort of the plans of protesters to disrupt the coronation, which was, if you go through it line by line, completely baseless. The only people that had actually said they were considering bringing rape alarms to the coronation was like a hard right English constitutional political party. It wasn't eco. It wasn't eco protesters as the Mail.
Bad fucking day.
Yeah.
Just fucking chill out, lads.
It's
your party.
It's all for you.
Is that because they disagree with like the Jacobite rebellion or the Stuarts inheriting the crown? It's actually like a centuries-long schism that they've taken.